Hey guys, what's going on? Before we start today's video, I have an important decision to make, and I want you guys to help me. Actually, scratch that. I want you guys to make it for me. Which intro do you prefer? Do you prefer the old school intro or this new one that I'm about to play? I'm gonna post a pinned comment with a straw poll that you guys can go ahead and weigh in with. So guys, here are the two intros. Hey guys, thank you for helping me with that intro. Again, I'll put up the straw poll for you guys, and whatever the majority of you guys prefer, we're gonna go with it. I'm gonna trust my subscribers here. I hope this video finds you all doing well today. I'm in pretty good spirits. Today, I'm joined by the #1 player last season. As I really love to do here on CWA, bring on the best player in ladder at the end of every season. This season, for the second time, it was Wen, pushing the Psalm 333 account for Sandstorm. Sandstorm really came out strong last season, claiming I think the top 8 spots on ladder, 7 or 8 spots. Anyway, I just flashed it on the screen. They did really well, and when this is the second time he's finished first in the world, which puts him in a very rare selective group of pro players, including off the top of my head, Adam, Pompeo, and Guanex. Speaking of Pompeo, you can see him on the bottom right now playing an Expo deck of his own. That's right, we are going to be covering an Expo deck today. It's going to be the Expo Ice Wizard deck, and you guys know that Ice Wizard is my favorite card in the game. He fits my channel really well. You can see him everywhere on the new overlay. In fact, you can see his head right above me there. I'm going to strangle him. No offense, Ice Wizard, but you can see his little silhouette is above me, and then of course the full Ice Wiz is below me. Again, huge shout out to Radical Rosh for doing a great job on this overlay. I'm a big fan of it, but admittedly some of you guys said that you think that the overlay is a little bit too loud, maybe takes a little bit too getting used to, a lot going on, and I received that feedback very well. Hopefully you guys can get used to it, but if you can't, and I continue to get people thinking that maybe it's a little bit too much, maybe I'll go to Rosh for a revision. But right now I'm gonna give it some time and hope that you guys enjoy it as much as I do. So anyway guys, let's hop into the replays here. You can see we get a lock on that right tower off Pompeo there, and that is huge in a mirror matchup. Look at that tornado, pulls that Mega Minion away. You know what, there's not a lot of uses for tornado against another siege deck, but Psalm aka Wen makes really good use of it right there, allowing his Expo to get definitely a few extra seconds, if not more, of tower damage onto that right tower, then using skeletons to distract that Mega Minion. That was a really nice support to the Expo there. And we have a rocket, Pompeo does not. And really, in reality, Pompeo, an amazing player, but it's very difficult to beat a mirror siege deck when he has rocket and you don't. That's a hard counter to the Expo. So having rocket is really important to this deck. It's a very fast cycle deck otherwise. Remember, a cycle deck is as fast as its 3 cheapest cards essentially, and in this deck we have 4 cards that are 2 elixir or cheaper, meaning the log, the ice golem, and of course skeletons and ice spirit. That allows for a very fast cycle. And don't worry guys, we're gonna show a variety of replays from the end of last season against 4 or even 5, I forget how many, different archetypes. Bait, hog, Expo, and lavaloon for sure. I think there might be one more as well. So definitely a nice collection of replays. You can see here with 15 seconds left, or now even less, all we need to do really is get a log and a rocket on that right tower. It's going to go down, and indeed Wen has put himself in perfect position here to actually win this match before going into overtime, which says a lot in a mirror siege matchup. But of course, again, harkening back to the point we made earlier, he has rocket, which is really nice, especially in ladder. Rocket, in my opinion, isn't as important to have in this deck if you're playing tournament level standard. You might even want to add pump and make this an incredible super cycle deck if you have the benefit of the entire 3 minutes of overtime as opposed to just the 1. Make no mistake about it, either way you look at it, Expo is stronger than ever, or at least as strong as ever. I noticed a lot of players in the top 10 of last season using it, and on top of that, in King's Cup 2, a lot of players were using Expo to a very, very high win rate. There was so many players using Expo in the Kings Cup 2 tournament live with tons of pros and tons of really good players from around the world, even non-contracted players, tons of talent there. And the Expo deck that I played, the Pump Expo deck that I shared last week, it actually had, I want to say, a 65 to 70+% win rate. That's really high. It was so prominent in early rounds that a lot of players, following Yugi Art's lead, switched to Golem decks to hard counter Expo. That just goes to show you how prevalent it was. So Expo definitely really strong. Even if you're not a Siege player, I would highly recommend you try out this Expo deck. So here it comes, Ice Wizard in the back. We already know what Godson's playing. He's playing a Hog deck, and he has a lot of, kind of semi-tanky troops. He has the Ice Golem, he has the Miner, and he also has, of course, the Hog Rider to stop our Expo. So we're gonna just make sure we really strongly support this Expo. You can see he has a little bit of a tower damage advantage right now, but check this out. We have activated our King Tower. The very first push, if you guys remember, of this match, Godson was not able to, or excuse me, Wen did not have his Tornado in cycle, so he had to take a couple hits off that Hog Rider while relying on a log and skeletons to kind of stymie that hog in the right lane. Here comes the Ice Wizard and Expo combination. You just saw it right there, guys. It's the Ice combo. The Ice Golem in front, the Ice Wizard in back, and then just using the Expo, supporting the Expo from there. Such a strong combination. At this point, Godson has thrown everything in his deck at this combination and still cannot kill that Expo. We do get a late lock on there. We get about 100 or 300, excuse me, damage before the Ice Wizard again locks onto that tower. Meanwhile, we're going to use a Tornado and a Mega Minion in the left lane to try to prevent some damage. At this point, Godson has split his damage onto both of the towers, so we're looking really good here. Here comes the log, here comes the skeletons. How are we going to stop this push? Well, basically, we're going to cycle again. We're cycle all the way back to the Tornado again, using the skeletons and the Ice Wizard. At this point, it's just a game of rocket cycle, and that's what we talked about. If you can't get a lock on the tower because your opponent has a lot of different counters in their deck, just go ahead and rocket cycle. It's really annoying if somebody is doing it to you, but if you're the one doing it to them, not that big of a deal, I guess, right? It always doesn't feel as corny and cheesy when you're the one doing it. And there it goes, when ending that matchup against Godson. Not Godson, the Clash of Clans YouTuber. Godson, a different Godson from Nova Esports. Let's watch this matchup here against Shake. Now, Shake is playing a traditional classic bait deck. And this is very important because bait is everywhere. You're gonna want to know how to beat a bait deck if you're gonna try out this Expo deck. So here comes the Goblin Barrel played right onto the tower, and check that out. You're gonna notice something that Wen does throughout the trajectory of this entire matchup. He's gonna try, if at all possible, to use his Tornado against the Goblin Barrel rather than the log. He's gonna save the log to support his Expo, but then he's gonna realize he's not gonna be able to use the Expo because the opponent has a hard counter, a rocket of their own. So how the heck are we gonna do this? Well, you're gonna see. We're gonna rely on the rocket cycle towards the end of the match, or actually we're gonna make that decision pretty early in the match. And in the meanwhile, a couple times throughout this matchup, we're gonna use a defensive Expo, essentially baiting out the rocket from the opponent. There goes the Goblin Barrel, and there again goes the Tornado. We do take a few hits off that Goblin. I'm sure Wen wasn't very happy about that, but we saved our log, and we're gonna save our log again to support the Expo. We know the opponent has rocket in the cycle, so we're gonna play the defensive Expo. It's not something that you guys see too often, a defensive Expo. Even against other Siege decks, we're starting to see less and less of a defensive Expo. I like using defensive Expo, especially against Mortar. I actually used it against CMC in Kings Cup 2. However, it didn't work out for me. I shouldn't be bragging about it, but hey, what are you gonna do, right? So there it is, the very first rocket of the match. So we start the rocket cycle first. We're gonna be very careful when we use the rocket here. One thing that Wen pays attention to is he's not gonna use the rocket when he's at 6 or even 7 or even 8 elixir. He's only going to use the rocket when he's at 10 elixir. That way he has some elixir left to defend. And with this deck, there's a lot of cheap defensive options that you can lean on after you use that big 6 elixir rocket. So here comes the next rocket, I think. There it is. So rocket number 2 is down. We have tornado ready. We take absolutely no damage on that left tower. The opponent here, being smart Shake, using logs as much as he possibly can to try to chip away at that tower, try to stay try to stay in the game, so to speak, in terms of the tower race here. But we're losing, or Shake I should say, is losing here. Another tornado used against the goblin barrel, again saving the log, or actually we didn't even have a log in the cycle there, but again not using the log until we can actually get a little bit of chip damage with it, like you saw right there. So more chip damage with the log, this time Mega Minion and tornado again preventing any damage from that left tower. So how are we going to handle this, guys? Well, we cycled all the way back to rocket again, so you know what that means. We're going to go ahead and use a rocket here. The Ice Wizard and the Mega Minion have things on lockdown defensively. The opponent counters with a rocket of his own, but guess what, guys? It's a little bit too late. We talked about this here, using a defensive expo. We're going to use defensive expo and a log just to make sure we don't take a lot of damage on that left tower. At this point, it's just going to take 2 rockets, and we have 1 in hand, and we have an expo on the arena already. So at this point, rocket trading, hey, we'll take it. It doesn't matter. As long as the opponent doesn't get to the rocket before we do, we're good, right? We won this match. And think about it. There's no way they can get to rocket before we do, because we have one of the fastest cycles possible, or actually the fastest cycle possible in the game. We can use a log, a ice spirit, and a skeleton, and that's it. There's only 4 elixir used to cycle back to the rocket there. So here we go. Let's go ahead and play the last match that we're going to share in today's video, guys. This is against Lavaloon. Now, Lavaloon is actually a pretty easy matchup for Expo decks. Especially if you have the rocket, and you're gonna see that when leans heavily on using the rocket in this matchup. So here comes Expo, played right off the bat. Interesting that he's aggressive with his Expo. He might have known what Hisham was using there. I'm not 100% sure, but oftentimes these players know at the top of ladder what their opponents are playing, and he gets the early good game. Very interesting here. So Hisham's certainly not too enthusiastic about his chances here in this matchup. So here we go, splitting a goblin gang in the back is Hisham, basically trying to get that Lava Hound on tap and ready. Lava Hound will be played in the back, so how are we going to react? We're going to mirror that with a Ice Wizard of our own, and then we're going to play Expo same lane here, knowing that the opponent really doesn't have much ground or many ground units. They have Goblin Gang and they have Tombstone. That's it. That's all they have. So we can, if we just cycle these Expos really quickly, hey, we're looking pretty good. So another good game here, and Ice Wizard is going to do a really good job defensively against this Lava Hound. Ice Wizard, again, so strong in this, well, not even in this meta, but just after his buff. I remember internally, I probably shouldn't say this, but it's okay. But I think that the team didn't really even think the Ice Wizard needed a buff, and then he got one anyway, which is great. So now he's like almost stronger than even he ought to be, but his play rates and his win rates still aren't sky high, so I don't anticipate him getting a nerf later down the road either. Anyway, back to the match here. We get an Expo lock on because the opponent played a Lava Hound. Now all we really have to do is stop this Lava Hound in the left lane. So how are we going to do it? Well, here comes Mega Minion. Let's see what else we can combo. It's going to be a rocket against the opponent's Mega Minion there. We really didn't have that much of a choice, and we have Tornado there. So Tornado probably could have even been used a little bit further back. The balloon, I think that was a nice zap. The balloon's going to get one hit on the tower, but really that's going to be all she wrote here. You're going to see this last monster push here by Hisham, and it's interesting to see how Wen deals with it. You're gonna want to pay attention to that rocket on his in his hand there. It's gonna be huge rocket value towards the end of this match. So here comes Ice Wizard, Mega Minion, kind of chomping away or chipping away. Chomping. They're not eating the Lava Hound dash. They're just chipping away. And what are we gonna do here? We're just trying to buy time. Again, tornado. Here comes Mega Minion. And this is all of a sudden not looking so great. But here it comes. It's gonna be a rocket, and boom! That's a lot of rocket value there, taking down the entire mass of troops surrounding that left Princess Tower. And that's gonna be GG. So very good job by Wen. Congratulations. Make sure you subscribe to his new YouTube channel, which I will include in the description below, along with his Twitter handle. Guys, huge shout out to Bren Chong, my YouTube partner. Check him out in the description below as well. I hope you guys have an amazing day. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, take care, guys.